You got a lot of them who aren't Patriots fans, but I am, and so I'm going to say this: not only is Bill Belichick the best coach in the NFL, and nobody is even good enough to be mentioned as second place, but looking at what he's done through the drafts, getting guys like, Mac Jones, who's the best quarterback in the draft, getting a guy like Christian Barmore, who's right now the best interior defensive lineman from this draft, getting a guy like Ramondre Stevenson in like the 6th round, who's been very productive, undrafted free agents like J.C. Jackson, who's an all-pro, Jacoby Myers, who's fantastic. You look at his signings with Judon and Mills and the 2 tight ends he got. Bill Belichick is also the best GM in the entire NFL.
You see, this kind of goes both ways, a little bit, because Bill obviously has he's been at the Patriots 20 years, right? 22 years. So just him there alone, he has a legacy of work to bank on, right? But there are some up-and-coming GMs that are doing great work here, right? John Lynch from the San Francisco 49ers comes to mind. They have put a pretty damn good team together there. I think John Lynch has been there like 3 or 4 years. I think like his first big move was bringing Jimmy G in from the Patriots into the 49ers. The second name that kind of comes up to mind is Andrew Berry as well for the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns were the laughingstock of the NFL for how long, right? He comes in and last 4 or 5 years, they've trusted the process, and they have built this Super Bowl caliber team. I believe it's like week 4, week 5. We were saying that the Cleveland Browns were probably one of the best teams in the AFC, and they were Super Bowl bound. Now, with that being said, those are only chapters for what Bill Belichick has done in the NFL. I mean, he has 24 years plus experience, right? As a head coach, general manager, whatever. He has that experience. He has that track record. So, as a Patriots guy, I know you're going to rip me apart on this, but I think right now, if we just do it for the last 4 years, let's just cut it back to the last 4 years. I think Andrew Berry is the best general manager in the NFL football the last 4 years. Now, over the whole span of the NFL, probably got to give it to Bill Belichick just because of what he's done.
I would say even in the last 4 years, just because of how consistent his teams have been. I mean, it's great that the Cleveland Browns went from the cellar to mediocrity. Fantastic achievement. But, the Patriots went to 9 Super Bowls, all because that Bill Belichick looks at people's trash cans, finds that diamond in every single one of them, and is just so good at signing guys, drafting guys. I mean, nobody's 100%. He hits and he misses sometimes,
right?
But not a lot. I mean, this is a guy that he's going to put a team out there that is going to compete for the division every year, win the division every year up until last year, pretty much, and then is going to compete for a Super Bowl every year because of the things that he does. Look at Matthew Judon might be in the discussion for Defensive Player of the Year by the end of the season, and this was a guy that was probably his cheapest signing.
Right. So one of the biggest signings that I thought was a complete head scratcher was when Bill Belichick brought Randy Moss in from the Oakland Raiders at the time. Was that like 2006? I think he brought him in. He brought Randy Moss in for a 4th round pick. The Randy Moss for a 4th round pick. That next year, he set records for the Patriots. I believe you guys went 18-1 like the very next season, right? So, I mean, obviously he has a knack of seeing that kind of things. Now, let me ask you this question to kind of spin this around on you. Is it a knack of finding players, or does he just have that culture built there that I don't care who you are, when you come here, I'm going to get 110% out of you, or you are out of town, i.e. Antonio Brown?
Yeah, it's a combination. And to touch on Randy Moss, not only did he trade a 4th round pick to get Randy Moss, who then set all the receiving records the following year, then he traded Randy Moss for a 2nd round pick. So he ended up, again, great GMing. And one of the things that he does so well, like you're talking about, the culture, he built this culture in New England, but why he's the best GM is he knows what players will fit that culture. He knows who to draft. He knows who to sign that are going to buy in and come in. Every once in a while, he takes a flyer on somebody like a Reggie Wayne who comes in and says, oh, it's just not fun playing here because I can't take days off or whatever.
Yeah.
But like for the most part, he's getting guys who were team captains in college. That's who he's drafting because they're leaders. He's going out and finding guys who are like captains or co-captains of the defense or the special teams. He's huge on special teams. And I mean, he's just so good at knowing who to plug in. Now, look at the guy, like you said, this guy in Cleveland, right? He doesn't really have a culture there yet. I mean, the culture was losing. Now they're medium, and how do you get somebody to buy into medium? You know what I mean? So he still hasn't built that culture. That's part of being a GM, I think, is bringing in guys who help build that culture around you.
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell if like John Lynch and Andrew Barry, or even like somebody like a Stephen Jones for the Cowboys, see if they can't have that sustained success like Bill Belichick has. But I don't think we will ever see anybody like Bill Belichick ever again, going to the 9 Super Bowls, winning six of them. And isn't he like the longest tenure head coach in the NFL right now as well? I mean, there is so much that Bill Belichick has going for him.